Guys, this is Ayush from Coderoom. So today I'm going to teach you the complete simple table view application, that how you can make a simple table view app in Xcode. So guys, the very first step which you have to do as usual is you have to Google Coderoom onto it, and once you are onto the Coderoom website, you have to go on to the courses section, and once you are onto the courses section you can just go on to view more part of iOS structure objective C. It has a fourth topic which is by the name of simple table view iOS app. So guys, once you are done with this part, we will land over to our Xcode. So do you remember that we completed the complete three videos with the getting started with the environment setup, with the Objective-C basics, with the Hello World application we have done so far, and now it's time to do just pretty much more stuff onto it. So you might have been known that what is actually a table view. A table view is a kind of a row structure in which we add some data. So in order to make that particular simple application, it is required to have a complete basic knowledge which you have done so far. So it is advisable that you should complete, or you should have a watch onto my previous videos of this complete series. So guys, as you know that we have to go on to file, we have to click onto the new section, then we have to click on project, and then we have to click onto the single view application, then we have to click on next and have to write the name of the project, which is like simple table view app codes room, and just click on next. And then I'll just click onto the create button. The complete project has been set up in front of me, and then I'll just click onto main.storyboard, and in my main.storyboard, this is the name of my class, which is by the name of view controller. And as I told you into my previous sections and into my previous videos, that app delegate is like a complete admin of my complete program of the iOS application, and the view controller is the name of the complete class which is already been provided to me by Xcode. And this complete class should have a kind of view, or a kind of a user interface, or a screen which will be visible to the user. So this is the complete screen, and you can just navigate your mouse over to this particular object library, and now I here type table view, and I just drag and drop the table view over to my view, drag and drop to the complete screen, and you can just see it that I just right click onto the table view, and I just click on data source, connect it to the view controller, and I click on to the delegate, and I just connect it to the view controller. Now what is delegate and data source? Guys, you actually know that what is a function. Let me tell you again that a function is a kind, let's say if you want to add two numbers, so it is like the kind of method which you call, or a kind of method which does your operation, any particular operation which you want to perform, is a kind of binded inside a kind of quotation, like a method which you call as a function, so that your particular operation can perform that particular task which you want to. So that is like we have the phenomena of a function. So if I talk about a delegate, so a delegate and a function, the main difference between the two is that when I talk about a function, I have to call a function when, and then only it will be called. So let's say if I have created a function which is by the name of adding two numbers, so I'll create it like void. Void is like that function does not return any value, add two numbers, right? And I'll write as int a is equal to 10 and int b is equal to 20, and write it as int c is equal to a plus b, and I'll just print C, right? This is a simple function, but this function will not be called because you know that into my previous video I told you that when a class is being called, the very first function which is called is the viewDidLoad particular part. So the function which is automatically being called is called as a delegate, and the function which we have to call is a kind of a normal function which we talk about. So the values which are being provided to a delegate, so that is a data source. So let's say if I talk about that is viewDidLoad is a function and it has to get a value also, but I'll not be calling this function as I'm calling this particular function right now, self add two numbers. But I don't have to call viewDidLoad because viewDidLoad is a delegate and kind of it is automatically being called. When I create a class, the functions which are automatically being called are termed as delegate. You can just imagine right now. I'll explain it to the brief into my later videos also, but right now you can just imagine this particular part. So this was the complete part in which I explained you the difference between the delegate, the data source. Now just head over to the main.storyboard file and we'll create a reference outlet. So what is a reference outlet, guys? Guys, do you remember that into my previous video that we created a reference outlet for a button also? Now just click onto this part, just right click onto the table view. A kind of view will be opened up onto your screen, which was this complete view. Just drag and drop the new reference outlet over to your interface extension section and just write it as table view. So what is the reference outlet? The reference outlet is actually the name of your table view, which will be termed as table view, which we have written it over here. So if I would have written, let's say any other name, so let's say array table view or table view codes room or codes room table view, then in my complete class this table view would have been accessed by this particular name. You can just imagine to a real world scenario that every person is a human being. So a human being is related to a table view, but every human being has a name, has a property. So by what particular name I will be accessing a particular person, that is actually his name. So you can just imagine the same scenario with the table view. So I will be accessing the table view into my complete class by this particular name, which I've written it over to this section. Guys, now click on to the single section and just paste it this complete code over to your particular class. I'll explain it one by one that what particular code this mean, and just over to the extension section just declare the array. So what is an array? A kind of array is a stored memory location, you can say, that stores a kind of similar kind of objects. Mark my words, similar kind of objects. Into Objective-C, when you're making an array, then array can only hold up the values which are all string, which are all characters, which are all integers, but it cannot hold the values where like it can be like one object can be of string, one can be of character, one can be of integer, one can be a boolean. It cannot do that. So array is a kind of stored memory location which can hold the values of a similar data type. So I'll just create property as I have to clear as I have to make the complete array. I just copy the simple code and just write as ns array and the name of the array. Do note that I'm pointing this particular pointer in front of the table view, in front of the array data also, because these all are the memory location things, because everything which is storing a kind of value inside it, that is storing the value in some particular location, and every class which is storing a kind of value It has two values, which is R value and L value. So they are all pointers which are navigating to a particular location in which they are storing the particular value. So mark my words, then when you have to just create an array, this is the particular part where you create it. So you have declared the ns array, as the name is the array data. Now it's time to just populate your array with some kind of part which you want to populate onto your table view. So I created as array data, ns array alloc init. So let me tell you that what alloc init with means. Init means that when you are allocking and initializing the complete array, it means that you are providing the memory. Do note that when I just written this particular piece of code over to this section, this only means that array data is only being initialized, but this is not having any memory till now. It is not provided any memory. But when I'll initialize it, when I'll alloc init it, if I write just this particular code, then it means then it has the memory, right? But make sure when you are just writing, when you are creating an array, it has to be of strong type. Else, it will show a complete warning onto your screen as it was showing it right here. So when you have created the strong, this is the particular part where you like initialize the array. But if you want to initialize the array with some kind of objects into it, you'll write it as alloc init with objects, and you'll write as hello. Second object as world. Third object is codes room is fun, and the next is I'm loving it. Okay, so this is my piece of code which I've written till here. Let me figure out what is the problem right now. Okay. I just placed the 2 commas over to here. Now it is completely okay. Now what is the complete part which I told you before, that what is a delegate? So you can just imagine the number of rows in section and the self row at index path, these are your data source and delegate. So when you are talking about the delegate, it is regard self row at index path is regarded as your delegate, that when your complete table view will be initialized, then this particular delegate will be called first, and the part which will be providing the data to your delegate will be the number of rows in section. So you can just imagine a kind of a view of an Excel. So you can just imagine as rows and columns. So section you can just imagine as a kind of a section, just like as a column. You can imagine it as like that, and the number of rows you can just imagine the same as the rows you have in your Excel. So when I'm writing as number of rows in section, I'm already explaining it to my table view that you will only have one particular section when I'm not writing that what will be the number of section I'm going to provide you. So there will be only one section, and now in this particular delegate I'm just telling my table view that what will be the number of rows you will be creating it. So the array, it had 1, 2, 3 and 4, the 4 objects inside it. So I just told my table view that you have to return the objects, the number of objects which the array data is including it. So let's say it is including right now 4, so the number of count will be returned as 4. Now we come to this particular section. What this particular thing means, I'll explain it to my later videos, but it is now required to just run your simulator so that you can just have a look and feel to what we created right now. Over to the complete explanation that what this particular code inside the self-forward index path means, I'll explain it to my next video, which will be like customizing the table view with a kind of image and a kind of label or kind of a text too. So my simulator is being launched, and you can see that I have the rows in front of me. It says the hello world code zoom is fun and I'm loving it. So guys, thank you for watching my complete video, and I'm sure that you will be watching all my videos and subscribing to my channel also. So don't forget to subscribe Codes Room and stay tuned. Thanks.